Hello, my dear friends, and well, above all, thank you for buying the course. I would like to tell you a little bit about what inspired me to make the course on the Peerts. First of all, it's of course my own memories. I used to play a lot of Peerts when I was younger, and to some extent also stronger, but mainly younger. Although to be fair, I usually started with modern, but it normally brought down the same positions. So the period starts here, and I would like to tell you a few words about why I think I have this fascination, apart from the memories of having played it as a younger player, the memories of long gone days. To me, in periods there is a lot of history, which I find valuable for me. The development of this opening has been uneven, has been rocky, has been tainted at times by the reputation of being slightly incorrect or slightly dubious, sometimes very incorrect or very dubious, and despite this, there have always been players of quite some caliber that were attracted to this opening, and every now and then they manage to use them under very important circumstances. So some of my early memories with this opening, they are related to Bobby Fischer. Some of my first books, well, not the very first books when I was a kid, but some of my first books when I was already a reasonably qualified player were the books either by Bobby Fischer, my 60 Memorable Games, for instance, or about him, right? There was a book by Grandmaster Mednis, who wrote a book on the games that Bobby Fischer lost, and despite the fact that it mainly deals with the games that, well, it only deals with the games that Fischer lost, it was still filled with a certain, remarkable fascination and respect for this player, which I found quite interesting, quite paradoxical in a way. And there in this book, you could see his game against Korchnoi, which he lost in the candidates tournament in Curacao 62. Curacao was the candidates tournament, which was won by Tigran Petrosian. And the book of Tigran Petrosian and on Tigran Petrosian, I also had in my childhood and also read and reread. And there in this game against Korchnoi, Fischer played f4. This is the so-called Austrian attack, the attack that we deal with in great detail in the course. After f4, bishop g7, knight f3, Korchnoi played castles, bishop e2. The theory was just beginning at the time, so don't worry about this. These are not the most up-to-date variations, if I may. But it was actually quite fascinating, right? The pawn on e4 is hanging, and Fischer castled, queen c5, king h1, and the moves in the beginning, they were quite normal. And in this position, Fischer suddenly played g4, and Korchnoi, he took this pawn, and turned out that White's position actually is beginning to sustain some damage. And later Fischer lost due to a number of, make them red, a number of pawn weaknesses, and also the king on h1 was not great, and the pieces also left a lot to be desired, right? Everything was weak, and there was no coordination, and Fischer did not really manage to put up a fight. And now, when you look at this game with the computer, it's just, it's a story of how Fischer made a mistake on move 13 and got punished for it. And back then, somehow, when as a kid I was reading this book, it just felt like a part of something much bigger. It just felt, I was just fascinated, right, reading about great players of the past playing a candidates tournament, and this is all written in the book. And in the periods which Korchnoi suddenly played, I think like for the first time in his life, more or less, if memory serves me correctly, or at least it was a very rare opening for Korchnoi. Suddenly, he won such an important game, the candidates tournament, no less. And then, this opening more or less disappeared from the games of Bobby Fischer until in 1972, in a World Championship match, Fischer played this opening was black in the most decisive phase of the match, where Bobby was just trying, or Bobby Fischer, maybe I should just say Bobby, it's not like I knew him. So Bobby Fischer played this, this opening was black in, I think, the game 17 of the match against Spassky. And in this line, Fischer played c5. You already see how theory developed in those years between those two games, about 10 years in between. DC, Queen A5, this is actually our repertoire in the course. Bishop D3, Queen C5, castles, Queen E2, castles, Bishop E3, all this is in our course. And also, I mentioned this game, I showed this game in the model games, and you already see the development of theory. You see the development from a surprise weapon, which was maybe still slightly unprepared but worked, to a surprise weapon which was already much better prepared, a different level of opening, a different quality of play in general, and also just how much work had been done in 10 years, how much development there was. And above all, once again, it was the Pirc, it was played, and it worked on a highest level. So every now and then, really great players would spring it as a surprise. And very often it would just work to an amazing degree. And for me personally, at some point, I was also sort of when I was a kid, I was so in awe of great players that it almost felt impossible, like they should ever lose the game. And of course, one of those players was Anatoly Karpov, the 12th world champion. And I never thought, he could lose the game. And every now and then in a book or in a chess magazine, I would see something that didn't work out for him. One of these games that didn't work out for him was his game against Grandmaster Azmai Parashvili. Karpov was white. He played the classical line, knight f3, bishop g7, bishop e2, and in this line, like our repertoire in the course is e5. In this game, Azmai Parashvili played bishop g4. I would of course love to show you all the moves and all the games, but unfortunately there are always time limits to how much you can do in a chess game or in life, right? Cannot make a course of 400 hours. So, and the remarkable thing about this game of Anatoly Karpov against the then young Grandmaster Zurab Azmai Parashvili, who I don't think was a Grandmaster at the time, was that in this position, Azmai Parashvili started to attack Karpov with the black pieces by playing b5, threatening b4 to get to the pawn on e4. And essentially this was 1983, back in the days when Karpov rarely made mistakes. And he must have been impressed by the audacity of this attack, because this game somehow did not work out for him at all. For a while, he was doing all right. Azmai Parashvili continued attacking. Now the threat is the positional sacrifice was rook c3 and then knight e4 to get a lot of center and positional compensation. And the mistake happened soon and was in a way almost inexplicable for a guy like Karpov. Karpov played bishop g5, rook takes c3, bishop f6. So white is not interested in the exchange. White wants to keep the position as is, right? And now, for some reason, black took bishop takes f3, bishop f3, and rook a3. And here, for no reason at all, Karpov abandoned the advantage of two bishops. White just had to move the bishop back. And after bishop takes g7, king g7, Karpov was slowly, meticulously, and very impressively outplayed. And black went on to win this game around move 40, which also in itself was a fascinating experience for me. I did not experience it firsthand, but after the fact, a few years later, I still find this impressive today, that an unknown player playing with black against the world champion, against Anatoly Karpov, can just start attacking him like this, and uses all the positional tricks in the book, the positional pawn sacks, the positional exchange sacks, and later goes on to outplay him. I was just mainly impressed by the courage, by the audacity of the player playing with black, and it added, of course, to my fascination about this opening. And this, I suggest that when working on this course, that you do not just focus on the moves, and it's not just a repertoire. Don't think of it as a collection of moves that is supposed to give you a repertoire. It is, of course, that, but it's also more than this. You can get so much more from a course by addressing the different layers that are presented to you. So first of all, it's an opening course, but an opening course is always connected to other things. So you can also, try to see, how to evaluate certain types of positions, how to recognize pawn structures, how to see weaknesses, how to sacrifice an exchange positionally if need be, how to keep your king safe. If you are ambitious about your chess improvement, and okay, most chess players are, then you can find so much in every Grandmaster game, in every interaction with a strong player, and of course, you can find even more in many hours of interaction with a strong player and the coach. It is not just the moves and not just the repertoires. The moves in themselves, you can, honestly, you can always ask your computer, and the computer will give you a move in any given position. The improvement of your chess requires a bit more, right? It requires you to be attentive to detail. It requires you to listen, to try to understand. And then you can revisit the course. For instance, first time you can, look at the moves, and then you can focus on the evaluation. You can focus on the structures, on the pieces, and, can get an impression of how to build up a repertoire. And this will help you also with the other openings. And then there is a whole different topic of a video course. The course which is just moves and text is good. The course which also has the video guidance is an additional layer of content, right? Because first of all, they are not exactly identical. What I write and what I say are not always the same things, because sometimes during the video I would just, get carried away and either tell you a story or, go deeper into the evaluation of the position, go deeper into the reasoning behind some move. This is one thing. The other thing which I find very, very important is the pacing. When we look at the text, we do not get the sense of pace for the moves. And when we look at the video, when we train with the video guidance, we have undoubtedly the certain feeling for pace, which is not there otherwise. And you can see, for instance, some lines I go by quickly. Some moves are forced, some variations are self-explanatory, and some decisions are vital and of great positional relevance or importance for the whole line. And then I will take much longer there. And this, I find this very helpful for you because, well, the text doesn't quite give you this sort of the sense of how much time you should spend at any given moment, right? And this is what the video guidance can be very helpful for. And of course, you can do so much more for your chess improvement given today's possibilities. You can address the forum. There are a lot of chess players out there who have also, dealt with this very product, with this very course, also with other courses, but especially, with this course, who will have some opinions about some lines, and there is an exchange. And you can also always address the author when you have a question that you think is not either addressed in the course or is not answered in the forum. And I will do my best to answer every query. And in general, after you do all this, you will get a perfect repertoire against e4. Once white plays e4, d6, you are already within the realms of this course, so you get it as quickly as you possibly could, right? Move 1, you're already within a repertoire. You will have the repertoire. It will be interesting to play. This I promise. And this whole journey, as you could already, I think, tell from some of the games I mentioned, the whole journey of the periods has been fascinating and filled with some great moments historically. And I'm sure your journey will be the same. And also, once again, you study this course carefully, you will be a much stronger player. I would hesitate to give you a number, as in, you will be 100 points stronger, 200 points stronger, 1,000 points stronger. I do not want to do this. The numbers are, are neither here nor there, but in general, I would be very surprised if you didn't get stronger. And this is after all, the aim of every chess course. And I can, tell you about my course with certainty that it's the aim of this course to, above all, to make you a better player, and then, to give you a repertoire against e4 and to give you a nice fighting, interesting, fascinating repertoire. But also this course will help you in all your other repertoires, in all your other openings, and will help your understanding of the game in general.